In this video, we'll talk about 3 tips to stay productive working from home. The tip number 1 is to measure your days using Pomodoros. Before working from home was the new normal, I used to measure my days by hours. I would say I'll work 10 hours a day and divide that into 1-hour chunks and mostly lie to myself that I was productive the whole time. And to create real value in time, you need to have laser-like deep focus, and that is impossible to do with an hour-like structure, where it's so easy to get distracted purely because you're mentally taxed on. To combat this, one of the techniques that I love to use these days is the Pomodoro Technique. Well, the Pomodoro Technique involves dividing your work hours or your work packages into 25-minute chunks. So you have one single task and you focus just on that for 25 minutes, and then you take 5 minutes break, and so on and so forth. And that creates real value because you have deep focus for a consistent period of time. And the key thing for this to be effective is to take this in 2 stages. So stage 1, get into the habit of measuring your time using Pomodoros and not by hours, and make sure you improve your number of Pomodoros per day over time. Once that habit is set up and the engines are up and running smoothly, then you think about prioritizing your task to make sure different projects gets the deserved number of Pomodoros they require. And then you become better over time at estimating the number of Pomodoros a task takes and also finishing Pomodoros per day. And once you get into the habit of doing this is extremely powerful, because what you realize is not only you create more value with your time, but also you save a lot of more time. So you think the standard industry way of doing things is 9 to 5, the usual 9 to 5, 8 hours of work. But instead of 8 hours of unproductive work, what you realize now is you could do 12 Pomodoros in 6 hours. And that is a lot of work, and you save an extra 2 hours to do whatever you want. Finally, using the Pomodoro Technique, you get to be real with yourself. And that is key to improving in any productivity system. You can't lie to yourself and tell yourself, oh, I'm spending 8 hours a day, so I must be productive. But you know that, okay, this day I only achieved 6 Pomodoros. That means I'm not productive that day. I need to improve. And that kind of honesty and self-reflection is extremely important, or else you won't objectively improve over time. You'll just keep lying to yourself and nothing will get done. So that is the Pomodoro Technique. Tip number 2 is to manage energy and not time. And this might seem counterintuitive based on what I said before, but again, I think this is extremely valuable once you get past that base level of productivity. So what do I mean by this? Think of it this way: the difference between a Toyota and a Ferrari. Both can travel from location X to location Y, but a Ferrari is much faster simply because of the anatomy and the way the car is designed and the components and everything. Similarly, managing your energy levels and making sure you have consistently, over a long period of time, a higher level of energy would make a lot of difference. But let's just get it out of the way. It's impossible to be super energetic and happy and excited all the time, every single day. There will be crappy days. It is possible to increase the number of days where you feel energetic and excited. And that is through intentional lifestyle design. And this is extremely powerful. The single most, if anything, this is the number one most effective way. Spending an hour meditating, visualizing, thinking right, making sure your thoughts are aligned right, thinking positive, tuning your perceptions, just call it whatever you want, but these are extremely powerful. What it does is when you wake up and spend an hour just aligning your thoughts and meditating, visualizing, and getting lost in a world that you're designing in your mind, what it does is, yes, it might be an artificial world you're creating in your head, but it has a massive spillover onto reality and changes the way you look at things in the real world. What that does, especially when done consistently over time, is it supercharges your energy levels, supercharges your positivity levels, supercharges your happiness, everything. This is not a guaranteed way to turn every single day into a super positive one, but it is a guarantee, especially when done consistently over time, to increase your happiness levels over a long period of time. Exercise. So this is not something that I've been consistent with. There are periods where I do it religiously and periods where I don't. But I've noticed definitely that periods when I go to the gym, combine that with right eating, my God, it makes a difference. And this concept of managing energy levels and not time, I think it's extremely powerful because it builds over into the rest of the systems or techniques you're using to remain productive and turbocharges it. And it lets you achieve, say, 3 days of work in 1 day simply because of the energy levels you have. Finally, tip number 3 is to do with the crappy days. Procrastination, things are not going right, bad mental health, everything's going crap. Trust me, we've all faced it, especially last year with the lockdown and everything. During these times, again, I'm not going to be fake and say it's possible to remain happy and positive every single day. I personally can't. I don't think anyone can. But I do genuinely believe it is still possible, especially over a long period of time, to combat this through lifestyle habits. So one of the useful skills that I've learned over the last year is to do things which I hate and when I don't feel like it. So for example, having a bad headache and a really bad day, nothing's going well. What do? Get myself up. Who cares if I've not combed my hair or dressed up or whatever? I would just sit on my desk and start the Pomodoro timer and see what happens. Once I start the Pomodoro timer, whether I feel like it or not, I'll just get started typing or coding. And then it spills over into the next Pomodoro, and then you go into the next Pomodoro, and the momentum builds up, and eventually you realize you might not have achieved 14 Pomodoros, but at least you have done 10. So the same applied to going to the gym. So one of the favorite things I like to do, especially during winter times, take my bike and travel to the city center and then decide whether I want to go to the gym or not. Once you're out and close to the gym, naturally you'll decide to go. So turning up and deciding later, that concept for me has helped me get through the bad times. And also just realizing that the art of learning to do things that you hate for a larger purpose, for a bigger goal, is extremely valuable. Everything has a honeymoon period where things are great, but eventually the crap bit comes in. But if you learn to go past through the crap bits, there's the honeymoon period again, and then the cycle repeats.